Okay, you're gonna be so mad. This thing recorded for like 2 seconds and it stopped.
That was good too.
Oh.
Damn. That was like a really good start. That may have been our best start to any podcast we've ever had.
So of course it didn't record. We had a hot start. Like we came out of the.
Are we recording now?
We are. I'm like staring at the bars moving.
That was literally the best 5-minute start of a podcast we've ever had, and there's no record of it.
There's no record of it.
Does this happen when you and Marco record, or only with me?
Every now and then it gets a little glitchy, but it's mostly with you. I think you're the mush. You're like the mush.
I'm going to try to recreate this as best as I can because I'm fired up about today's podcast now that you got me going. Well, pre-recording.
What I'm enjoying is that we are now delaying your slice of pizza even longer.
I honest to God thought about. So hold on. I have walked past. Let's start off with this. I messaged you and asked you what time you were calling me, even though I already told you 5:30.
Right, you had set the time, and then we're like, and I'm like, it's like 5:20, and you're messaging me going, when are we doing the podcast? And I'm like 5:30, like you said, unless you want me to go sooner. And you were like, yeah, call me now. And here we go. But
the reason was I made a frozen pizza from Publix's deli that you don't sell at yours. It's a supreme, beautiful pizza with black olives, pepperoni, sausage, onion. What else has it got on it? It's got it's got peppers, black olives, red onion, pepperoni and sausage. So
see, and you got me fired up there because I take exception to calling a supreme pizza. I take exception to using the word supreme because there's nothing supreme about a pizza with that many shitty vegetables on it. Onions can suck a dick. The green peppers can suck a dick. I know you like the black olives. We went through that. I know they didn't hear it, but you like the black olives. But I love the
black olives.
But it's like there's nothing supreme about a supreme pizza.
Right, but I messaged you asking you when you were going to call because I had already eaten 3 slices and I wanted a 4th because it's nice and fresh and hot, but I didn't want to start eating it and then you called to do the podcast. So I was trying to gauge, did I have enough time to eat the 4th slice or not? You called, I didn't have time. But as you were ranting, which this really pisses me off now because for 5 fucking minutes, I couldn't eat that second piece of pizza because you weren't recording. And you're ranting about the pizza. I thought I walked past this pizza 6-7 times. I even stopped in front of it and thought, while he's ranting about a supreme pizza, I can eat a slice he'll never know.
Sneak it in.
But then I said, I don't know about that because you have eagle ears. You hear everything.
Oh yeah, all that noise. And so, but here's the thing: you're good at 3. I see as a fellow fat fuck, I know that once you start getting that 4 or 5 slice territory is where you get that sleepy-itis thing going on.
Right.
And so
true.
And so I know that like you're better off putting it off and performing a little better on the podcast and not fading out at the end because you just can't keep your eyes open from the amount of carbs you've consumed in the day. And so then you also by delaying it and thinking about it for this whole podcast and how good it's going to taste when you finally get to take a bite into it, et cetera, and by delaying that mouth pleasure, that when you finally do get to eat it, it's going to taste better than if you just shoved it in right after the
hot.
First. You know what? Oh my God! You can't throw it back in the toaster oven for 2 seconds, crisp it up a little bit, or nuke it in the microwave for 3 seconds. It'll be just as warm as if you had eaten it.
Like I'm still walking past it. I'm pacing past the pizza back and forth. I looked at it. I stopped. I touched it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're just ranting over there. And I'm like, this fucking guy. Then you tell me you didn't record the first. I could have had 2 more slices easily.
I love it. Like this. The payoff for not having the thing record properly the first time is doubled now because of
really is.
Because of this torture, this like pizza torture that we've inadvertently.
I actually am so angry at you, like my legs are tensing up because I unbelieve that I now have to wait an extra 5 minutes to eat this fucking pizza.
Well, I mean. I'll be curious to hear how much better it tasted after this podcast. So then we're kind of recreating what we did here. So I'm going to go and say what I said that time. You sound like your anus is tightening up here. And I print.
And the funny part is, the first time it wasn't when you weren't recording. Now it is because I'm mad and I'm like literally squeezing my ass cheeks.
Yeah. Don't clamp it down so tight that you're cut off circulation to your lower legs. But the anus, ironically, is my favorite word of the day. I've been saying it out loud all by myself all day here because as soon as I saw this young lady's TikTok, I fell in love with the word, and it's been in my head all day. So one of our friends on TikTok, a lovely lady in England, of the blue-haired variety, so that you can narrow it down.
Jesus.
She did a TikTok. See, I'm going to throw you under the bus because this is suspect behavior by you.
Just get it out.
Right in the public, you did this. Right out in the public. You.
I think.
I witnessed.
Okay.
I basically witnessed you negotiate getting your butthole fingered. She made a. I witnessed. I'm scrolling through TikTok, and usually, I watch hers when they come through, and it was like something to the effect of, "What is the most devastating thing you've ever been told?" And then her reply to it was, "When he tells me I'm not allowed to stick my thumb in his anus," and she spelled it like AYNOOS. And so once you see the word spelled like that, you can't like unhear it in your mind. And then I'm like saying it, I'm hearing it all day, and I'm laughing and chuckling and whatever. But as I'm about to go to the next TikTok, I noticed that you have commented. So I scrolled back. I like flipped it up and I flipped it back down. I'm like, what did he say? And you made some emoji, and then she was like, "What? You're not a fan of that or something?" I'm paraphrasing. And then you made a different emoji. And then it seemed like you guys were all happy after that. And I felt like I felt like that was a negotiation, and you came around to the idea of Uncle No Pockets and his exploratory thumb,
No, you are totally misinterpreting. You, in your mind, I think you wanted to see me get the thumb in the bum. What it was?
I don't want to see it. I want to hear about it afterwards. It would make a good podcast conversation.
This is what happened. I made the like a face of like the emoji face of I don't even know what it's called, but it was like the oh shit emoji face, like eyes wide open, like
literally
holy shit, like it was more of like oh my god you sick fuck, and then she was like oh no you don't like this or something, and then I don't even know what the emoji was I did after. It may have been a laughing emoji. It was more of I was shocked that she's a thumb in the bum kind of girl, and I was like whoa. You were taking it as that I was like signing a waiver to get the thumb in the bum. Like, that's not what happened at all.
I feel like if you traveled to England tomorrow, it would be for a thumb in the bum after reading that.
No, listen, look.
You'd be going to load up on candies to taste on TikTok and an exploratory finger.
Listen, look.
And now I'm picturing that she's got like these big ET long fingers that are going, big knobby knuckles that are gonna like do you right.
No. No, you're totally. I eat the food from the UK. Okay, I eat the candies, the chocolates. But in no way was I asking for her to shove her thumb up my asshole. Like you're totally misinterpreting that.
I didn't say the two things were combined. I just saw.
You have some nerve though. I'm like two candies away, 2 food reviews away from being knighted by the Queen. That's where I'm at right now. And you're talking about me getting a thumb in my ass.
But the irony would be if you went to the castle to get knighted by the Queen. At this point, we wouldn't know what's on your thumb. Is it chocolate or is it the other thing?
Oh my God, look, Holly! I'm sorry, Holly.
Oh.
He's totally misinterpreted. I do not want your thumb in my ass.
You're saying this publicly, and you're gonna DM her privately and say, I just said that for the podcast. I really do. I want it
knuckle deep, baby.
I want you to work me like a Nintendo controller. Hey, up, down me back there.
Well, it leads to the story where I know I've told this story before, on the podcast, but it's been a long time, so I think it's time. We got a lot of new listeners. By the way, we're ranked in the Dominican again this week. We're ranked 50th. So maybe the Dominicans want to hear this story.
I know that I'm pretty sure the Dominicans would want to hear about you getting your butt fingered. So we're probably going to go up this week, especially when I think up a good title, a good insinuating title.
It should be called "Thumb in the Bum."
Okay, you got it.
Be the title.
Thumb in the Bum.
So I was in Gainesville, Florida. Eric was with me, I'm pretty sure, and we had traveled there to go visit some friends in college. They were at the University of Florida, so we got there and it was like nighttime, and they were like, "Hey, we got to go. We're going out to the club." The club was called Gator Rocks. Gator Rocks is like a dueling. There's like a dueling piano bar, I think, if I remember right. And there was like no time. Like, we got to go. So we drove.
So a dueling piano bar means that there's like two people playing piano at the same
time?
Okay.
Yeah, and they played like, it was a killer bar. We had been there before, but so we get there and it's late. But me and Eric drove from Boca, so you're talking, that's a 5-hour drive, right?
It's a long trip. Yeah.
Right. So my stomach was a little upset, but I was like, no, okay, we had to eat McDonald's or something. I was like, let's go. So we go, and we get there, and we're there, and we walk in, and somebody hands me a beer, one of my buddies, and I chug a beer, and, because I was young and I wanted to get the party started, I chug the beer, and my stomach starts grumbling. I'm like, oh, shit. And, we're in this bar for maybe 5 minutes. It may have been less than 5 minutes because we walked in and two of the buddies were there already. So he kind of just handed me a beer as I walked in. I just slammed it. Boom, slammed the beer. And I was like, man, I think I got to go to the bathroom. So I go over to the bathroom and it's just, it's a fucking club bar. It's a shit show. There's fucking puking. I was like, yeah, I cannot shit in this bar. There's no door, like the whole deal. So I come back out and I'm like, yeah, I can't go in there. And I turn around and a girl grabs me and she goes, "You're coming home with me tonight." I was like, what? Like, 5 minutes were there.
The Kavorka at work. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. The Kavorka at work. I will never forget it.
I didn't even see her. I just turned around and she grabbed me. She said, "You're coming home with me tonight." I said, "Okay, this is interesting." I said, "Well, I just got here." She's like, "Well, I'm ready to go." I was like, "Oh, all right. Okay, forgive me. I'm young. I'm excited. Nowadays I probably would be like, nah, I'm going to hang with the boys." And, but I was young. I was maybe 21. I was pumped. I was like, holy shit, I'm scoring 5 minutes in here. This is a win, right? Pretty big win. So we go outside and I get my buddy and I say, "Hey, give me the key to the apartment." He's like, "Already?" I'm like, "I got it, baby. I'm a fucking rock star." I was like, so he gives me the key and we start to go. And my stomach is like, I'm like, oh, what bad timing. Not now. I'm like, you gotta wait a little bit. Like, come on. This isn't going to take long. So we start walking.
This isn't going to take long.
we start walking and she is like, "I don't know the area." And I said, "Well, I don't know the area either." I said, I think their apartment's this direction. Like, we got to keep walking.
Oh my God.
And she's like, I said, "I don't even know how to get. Is there a way to get on the bus?" And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm visiting friends here. So I was like, yeah, okay. Me too. I don't know a clue. So we're walking, and I got to go to the bathroom. And now it's to the point where I'm like, it's it's running down the pipes. It's coming down the entrance ramp like Ultimate Warrior, like full speed. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, so I just turn to her and I say, "Hey, like, this is really weird, but I have to take a shit really bad." I was like, "I've got to take a shit. Like, I'm prairie dogging and like, I got bubble gut and we got to go." And she's like, "Well, I don't know anywhere around here." So like, we see a couple spots and like restaurants, everything's closed. It's like fucking midnight, right? I don't know, And now we're walking like towards out of town, so there's no like bars or clubs it's just like residential. So I'm like, I remember I did have a cell phone and I was able to like pull up like a map. It must have been like a MapQuest like website or something, and it was like another 10-minute walk to the house. I could not make the next 10 minutes. I can't make it. I said, there's no way I'm going to shit my pants. So I said to her, can you just stay right here? I said, I'm going to go to this church right here, and I'm going to shit in the church bushes. And she's like, okay, like so cool about it. So I run into the church parking lot, and I get in. There's like the bushes were like shoulder high. So I crawl, like I squeeze in between the bush, little opening, and there's a tree in the middle. So like I got like my back against the tree. I just pop a squat and I shit. It's pure diarrhea. It's just liquid squirt.
I mean, you have desecrated the grounds. Like that is no longer a holy place.
Right. I'm not allowed in churches anymore. Right.
Well, that one's. So, I'm just saying that's not whole. Like I want to use a reference, but you probably haven't seen the movie, so never mind. But no. Yeah, you desecrated that church and its grounds.
I had to go. So now I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to wipe my ass? So I take my shirt off, and I had a wife beater, tank top on. So it was white. So I said, I'll just use this. So I clean myself with the tank top.
Filthy. This is just filthy. Foul.
I leave the tank top in the bushes of the church. I come out, and I'm good. She's, I can't even wash my hands, but whatever. So we continue the walk to the house. So I get to the house, and she like attacks me right away, and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm like, can I just clean up for a second? Because like I know I got swamp ass. There's no way I do.
You have that mud butt. I mean, yeah.
Right. I did not get a good wipe. Right. So
well, there's only so much real estate on that shirt, and if you're
right,
if you're shooting lava out your back end, it's not going to be a one wiper. You know what I mean?
And it was like it was bad. It was a bad one. It was very muddy and just it was not good. So I said, can I just let me go to the bathroom for a second? So I go in the bathroom, but like she's trying to follow me in, and I was like, look, I'm not gonna wipe my ass with you like in here. So I'm able to kind of like just give me a second. I close the door and I do a quick like wet the toilet paper, like no shower or anything. There's no time. Like we don't have time for this. So I do a quick little cleanup and I come out, and the minute I come out the door, I'm not even kidding you, we didn't make it anywhere but to the floor in front of the bathroom door. Right? That's where we went. Boom, right to the floor. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, this fucking filthy pig, like who would do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is pretty fucking filthy. So, we start playing around, fooling around, and she decides to go south. She's going for the thumb in the bum. And not only does she want to put the thumb in the bum, she puts her head down there like she's going to lick it. And I was like, oh my, like, what do you do in that situation? Like, can
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When she's doing that, are you in change the baby position, or are you on your hands and knees?
Change the baby.
I just got lightheaded laughing at my own joke.
Me too, because I got a visual of myself in that moment.
So did I. You're like a turtle on his back with your hands on
yes, that's what I looked like. I was like a fucking. Oh my god. You changed in the baby.
Oh, I got such a headache now.
It's like, yeah, so she's changing the baby, right? Well, anyway, she goes like to go down there, and I'm like, look, I'm young still. This is, and like, I know people are gonna judge me because whatever. We were all fucking 21 at one time, drunk, and we had been drinking like on the way to the bar, and so it's like I was a little tipsy. But it was exciting. I was young. Like, this is, it doesn't happen often. I was like, this is exciting. But she goes to head down south, and she goes to put the tongue, and I mean, she got a swipe or two in, and I, I felt
Did
I
you
was
jump like
mortified.
you got electrified or something?
Yes, yes, because I could taste the shit on her tongue. That's because there's no way I was a clean white down there. So
It's so weird because she picked you up not knowing you had to take a massive shit. Then you
right.
basically shit yourself in front of her, and then you get home and she wants to eat the doggy bag, and she's got to have a fucking that's got to be like a thing with her, like
Oh, no doubt. There's no doubt.
because it's not like
So
you like kayfabed it and quietly like
no,
washed your ass in the sink.
she waited on the sidewalk
She
while I was taking
right.
a poop in the bushes.
Yeah. This
Like
is fucking
so,
bizarre. So what I'm saying is if she's got like this dirty ass fetish,
right. I nailed it.
she had you nailed from the start. She saw you and said that dude's got a filthy
That's the
ass.
guy.
And
That's the guy.
that was before you fucking like brought her like a fucking 8 scoop sundae. You know what I mean?
Well, so I freaked out, and we ended up like we didn't even like nothing. It was fucking awkward after that, and I ended up just like she was like mad that I wouldn't let her, and like there was some little altercation, and we ended up nothing like we like didn't finish the deed. So we got we like got up, and it was awkward now. Like she was mad, and she thought was it me? I'm like no. It's like
It's
no,
like,
is it you? No,
yeah,
it's the shit in my ass.
yes, it's you. You're disgusting. You want to fucking eat my
Right,
dirty ass.
right. Yeah, like so
There's one
it ends
thing
up
of like we've put you on the fire hydrant for 3 minutes to clean you out, and now I'm
right.
happy to stick a thumb in there. There's another thing, you just shit a river diarrhea in front of a church,
Yeah,
and
the church.
she wanted to stick her nose in there before you even went in the bathroom to wipe up. It's like, yeah,
Right.
that's
So then
worlds apart.
we
That's worlds
right.
apart.
So like I said, we whatever happened, we didn't go all the way or anything. But so we get up and leave, and she's mad, and I don't know. We walk back to where the bar is, and her car's there, and I meet up with my friends, and she meets up with hers, and she was so mad she got in her car and backed up full speed and crushed another fucking car, crushed it,
Wow.
uh, and then kept driving, like crushed it and kept going.
Yeah.
But it's funny because this is funny.
Well,
So
could you
I
imagine?
had a
Wait, could you imagine though explaining to the cops why you were so angry that you backed into that car?
well, I don't think it's possible to explain that
I mean,
at that point, right? Like
mean,
I was trying to look at guy's dirty ass, and he said
right.
no.
That's what I'm saying.
But here's the funny part. So I had a buddy, Jim. Jim was probably 6'3", big jacked up guy, football player, just a big dude. Jim from Boca originally, and Jim was going to school there. Well, this whole incident happens. She drives off. Well, the next time I come up there, her and Jim are dating.
No fucking
I'm
way.
like, yeah. So I'm like, whoa. I
Wait.
was like,
Had you told him what happened?
no, like, so that night when we got back, she was mad. He was like trying to be like, he was trying to get some. So he was trying to console her. And they were like kind of talking, and she got mad and left, but they must have exchanged numbers or something.
Or just ran into each other again. I mean,
right. And,
it's just
and
a
then
campus, a small town.
a couple weeks later, I remember my other buddy we were talking, and he goes, yeah, Jim's seeing that girl now. I'm like, what? So I was coming up there that weekend, and I got up there. We were there for Gator Growl, which is a big
Yeah.
like comedy show thing or whatever. So I get up there, and Jim is dating her, and like I see them, and it was weird. It was like because like look, I know now. Now I know. Like and I like I'm looking at Jim, and I'm looking at her like, and she's looking at me like she knows I know what she tried to do, and Jim's got this giant smile on his face. He's probably getting his dirty hole licked every night.
I was gonna say, did you really study Jim's face so that you would recognize in the future people that have exceptionally clean assholes all the time?
The smile on his face. But he ended up dating her for a while, and and I had like, it was like that day we were there, or whatever. They weren't together at one point, and I was like, you're dating her? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I gotta tell you, like, I have to tell you as a friend. I was like, this is what happened. He's like, and, like, normal person would go, probably freak out. He laughed and he's like, he's like, she loves doing that. I was like, you sick fuck.
That's my girl.
You sick fuck. Like, knowing that. And so for the rest of the night, like, I would, we were hanging out and I would just sneak by Jim and be like, how's my dirty asshole taste? And he would laugh and be like, oh, like, 'cause he was a big dumb jock. And he thought it was the funniest thing that occurred.
Now picture Jim in the change the baby pose.
Whoa, I'm sure he lived in that pose because she was, that was something else. But yeah, those were good times back then. But I'm a lot tamer now.
Sure you are.
I'm a lot tamer now. But yeah, so
to me, it feels like you've been thinking about that story with regret, and now we're seeing this like this little TikTok exchange has re-sparked your interest in exploring that region of of your anatomy.
I mean, look, if I hadn't taken a religious poop that evening, I probably would have let her do her business. But I mean, I was young and dumb, but I felt bad for her. I got feelings, I got a heart, and yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when we're like super young like that. How many things we like begged off and we're just too afraid to go for, and now 20 years later, we're like, oh man, what was I thinking then? I should have like I'd kill for that now. I had a friend in college. He was on my freshman dorm. He was one of the guys that didn't have a roommate. He had his own room, and we were at a party. Not that had anything to do with anything, but we were at a party, and this hot chick that we knew, I think her name was Beth. I didn't even say what his name is, so no one's gonna figure this out. But she came up to him and said, "Me and some other hot chick want to take a bath with you," and he like I didn't hear the negotiation. I just saw her talking to him and saw his face and like the pure terror, like of like the intimidating situation of two girls at once. You could see it all over his face, and he didn't want to do it. And he told them, he gave them some excuse, probably like, oh, I promised to like do this or do that, or be here with the guys or do something. And she left, and then he came over to tell us, and we were all like screaming at him and trying to like send him back to tell her he changed his mind. There was also what
was he thinking?
Right. That I'm sure now he's regretted that every day if he didn't like tell her like at another time, like let's try that bad thing. But we also had we were at a bar. And my friend Taylor was a big, like we were at an art school, so he was like a big athlete-looking guy. So he stood out. And we were at some real seedy dive bar in Providence, Rhode Island. The kind that would serve underage kids drinks. And, what's his name? The Friendly Tap. Remember the referee, Pat's bar? So we're there, and this, this was... Remember, this is pre-MILF, pre-Cougar. Like, there were no terms for these things. This was pre-American Pie. This total, Cougar was there hitting on him relentlessly, and getting gropey with him and stuff. And I just remember overhearing him say, you could be my mom. And she, he didn't understand that, this woman was going to educate him in so many ways that he knew nothing about. Because he was this dumb 19-year-old, and she was a 40-year-old that's been around the block and was obviously there to bring a young stallion home to go 4 rounds with her. And I was like, what are you doing, man? She's hot. He's like, she's so old though. And both you and I are older than this woman would be now.
Wow. And he dropped, wow.
Right. This woman's throwing herself at him, and he's like, because it was an intimidating situation, it was uncharted waters. You're like at that time, you're avoiding it. And now and in hindsight, you're like, what the fuck? And
I know I told this story before too, the Missy Hyatt story. I've told it before, I'm pretty sure. So Missy Hyatt was a female manager in wrestling, but when we were younger, like I mean, we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were young when
She was
was
in the 80s. In the 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, she was probably in her what? Was she in her maybe mid 20s
Yeah.
at that point?
Yeah. She was in her prime.
Right. So I had been to it. It was at a show in Tampa, and now Missy Hyatt again. Uh, as a kid, I had a poster of her above my bed. I mean, she was like sexy as a kid. Like as a kid, I mean, she was like you were into wrestling. She was sexy. Like I had the poster. I had like
she was Sunny before Sunny.
right, and she was hot. Well, I met her at a show, and I just like introduced myself, and like I would do to anybody else. And a couple minutes later, they're like, she kept like coming over and like she was flirting with me.
But this was like 2000s.
Yeah, like 2000,
Okay.
2001.
Right.
So I
she's
was
probably
young.
in her 40s.
Right, and I was maybe 19 years old.
Yeah.
So like, and to me, I was like, oh fuck, this is like, I mean, that's Missy Hyatt. So she was, giving me the business, kept fucking with me, flirting with me, and a couple of the guys were like, yo, Missy wants to like take you back to the room tonight, and I'm like, what? Like Missy Hyatt? Like holy shit! And I remember telling her, I told her I had your poster on my wall, like. I definitely flogged the dolphin numerous times to you, and now here you are. You're asking me to come to your room and come. And, so, I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is like, I mean, and if you're not a wrestling fan, you don't get. It's like your favorite childhood actor or actress. Like you meet them later in life, and they're like, "Hey, let's go back to like this is a big deal, right?"
Well, and to put it in a little bit of perspective. In what you're describing, like it's like what I described with my friend, except also it's someone famous. It's a 19 and a 40-year-old situation where you don't know anything and you're intimidated by this older woman being super aggressive with you. But then also she's famous and it's someone that you used to beat off to all the time.
So I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But then a couple guys started coming up. They're like, hey, don't do it. And I'm like, what? I was like, why would I not do it? This is a dream come true. Like. They're like, no, she's got like STDs. I'm like, what? They're like, don't do it.
Allegedly.
Like, if you do it,
allegedly.
Right. Now they could have they didn't want me to do it because they didn't want me to be,
ribbing you
king of the Indies or something. Right. So they were like, don't do it. So I didn't do it, right? Because I was like, I'm not trying to catch something at 19 years old from this fucking Missy Hyatt famous lady. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And she she was persistent to the minute I got in the car to leave. Like she just kept trying, and I didn't do it. Now, like I think about it later on. I was like, man, how did those guys even know she? Like, I wonder if they were just trying to block me on. You know what I mean? Like, or was it?
And have you regretted it every day since?
Well, I mean, if she had an STD, then okay, I'm glad I didn't. But
no, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and the same thing happened with another similar situation. Was with Mickey James, which I know she's married now and she's a beautiful woman, but like she kind of like I had met her before a couple times, and then at TNA she was like wanted me to come hang out with them, and I was like super pumped. Eric was with me, and he was like, "Oh my god, like she's asking you to come hang out, like you guys have been talking and like kind of flirting a little bit." And I was like, "Oh shit, this is it." She was single at the time, and she was the same age, and I was like, yeah, like this is gonna happen. I mean, she was way more famous than me even at that point. She was like, on TV a lot at TNA, and I went down to the lobby to go meet them, and there's fucking Sandman, and he's like, Sandman. It was Sandman and maybe Raven because Raven was a dick to me, and they're like, who's he? And she's like, oh, he's coming with us. They're like, no, he's not. They were just like, he's not. And we were in Nashville, and I'm like, oh, and she's like, well, try to find a ride there. They're saying that there's no room in the car, so try to find a ride. And I'm like, Eric, we got to find a ride. And Eric's like, oh, no, we should go to bed. I was like, go to bed?
Oh my
God. Are you kidding me? This is a monumental moment. And yeah, and then she like asked them one more time. There's like, we said there's no room for him. He's not coming. So I ended up like texting her or something, and she never responded, and I never went. But because they all didn't want me to go because I wasn't like famous, so they didn't want me around. It was really weird, but yeah, man, lots of blown opportunities.
Yeah, that one was weird. They were just blocking you. They probably one of them wanted to take a shot.
Right.
But
and Raven had kicked me earlier in the evening. I sat in Raven's chair and he threw a fucking fit, and D'Lo Brown saved me. So I'm getting my ass whooped.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Then he saw it was you and was like, "Nope."
This fucking guy. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so Raven.
Now that I've told all my stories.
Well, this was good. I like that we seamlessly retold the podcast in a way that if you didn't know we hadn't recorded it the first time around, that first half of it went pretty fucking seamlessly.
Yeah.
And now we've got a new term. We got anus and the baby changing the baby position.
Baby position. Oh, I got dizzy laughing at that.
I got lightheaded too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well.
Oh. By the way, I know you told me that Nick listened to the podcast. Does he still want to fight?
Yeah.
Is he ready to fight, or is he backed off a little?
So we were driving, and Nick listened to the podcast. We were driving home, and like he had it on. He was like, that motherfucker. I'm like, who? He's like, I'm listening to the podcast, and he was like, hearing you talk. He's like, oh, I'm gonna kick his ass, and he was like, well, we're doing this. He's like, fuck that guy. And he was going on, and I almost pulled a fast one on him today. When you called, I was going to have Nick answer, so you guys could go at it, but he didn't come downstairs in time, so that didn't happen.
He probably wouldn't have done it anyways because he's soft and scared. By the way, you might want to smarten him up to what like grown man strength is, even compared to like what a 16-year-old can conduct himself with. That someone that's actually like lived a life and worked hard,
right?
At least for parts of their life. That he may not want to encounter that right now. But if he's still open to it, I'll slap him around. I'll slap the shit out of your kid, man. Because
he's serious. He wanted to go.
Someone needs to do it. You're not doing it. You're not cracking him upside the head enough. So if you need me to parent him one day, I'll fucking be happy to do it.
Yeah, I think he really wants to.
Okay, all right. You just we'll have to hammer out those terms and conditions, especially my getting out of my liabilities, if you will. But we'll do it. I got something else to talk to you about, so stay on. But I think we'll close this off with that because where do you go after?
Yeah, because the pizza's waiting. I can't wait anymore.
Where do I go after fucking threatening a 16-year-old again? So so let me shut this down but stay on for a second.
All right.